up? What up?
All right, Jen, you want to?
Oh, I got a mask on. I could take this off.
You can. We need to see that face.
They said you can't get it for 3 months, didn't they?
I I'll take your word for that. I'm
I
sure you
don't
talk to
know.
people.
I don't know. I hope nobody has to get it because that wasn't fun at all.
Well, so we've actually heard varying reports of people not having many symptoms, other people experiencing a lot. What was your experience when you had to quarantine?
I was very exhausted. I could barely move. Um, my throat was hurting. I had chills. My chest was hurting. I was very, very anxious. Like my mind was just wandering because I was probably thinking too much. I was throwing up. Like I threw up like the first day a couple times, but just once. And then after that, like I said, I just had no energy, so I was barely eating. I think I lost like 8 pounds.
So it was a pretty big accomplishment just to get back onto the field last week.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was just tired and exhausted. I don't want to say I had breathing problems, but like I couldn't fully like breathe out of my chest like I wanted to. Like you know how you just get that big air? Like sometimes I got it, sometimes I didn't. But again, like I felt like I was good with breathing, but it's very unfortunate. Like I was out for a whole week. You know, we had a big game versus the Rams that kind of determined whether we can go to the playoffs or not. And I couldn't play, so I had to sit there and watch as well as get tested positive every single day. And I think if anything, that's what hurts your mental. Is like it was one thing to be tested positive on Thursday, but then to be positive again Friday, and then be positive again Saturday, and then be positive again Sunday, and then Monday, and then Tuesday. It's like you're starting off your day seeing 3 positive tests. And it's just that's the hard part is every day you're building yourself up only to start back over the next day in the same boat of like, bro, am I ever gonna get through this?
Tim
One
Booth.
more real quick. Oh, can I just go one more real quick?
Yes, sorry.
Sorry. Does that make the fact that you could set a new career high in receiving yards for a single season that much more significant on Sunday? You're like 5 yards away. You've got a few milestones in reach.
Oh yeah, well, you know the thing about it is like once you come down with COVID and stuff, it's like you start realizing none of this stuff matters because you really just want to beat it and move past it. And I think sometimes like it makes you take a step back because we get so caught up in all these accomplishments and all these things that we care about, and we don't even realize that without our health, none of it even matters. And so I think being able to come back is like you want to have a different perception and a different viewpoint of how you see things. But now I'm just thankful for more so each day that I get and how can I make the best out of it. And the fact that I do have a chance to be able to have the most yards that I've ever had in my career history, that's even a blessing on its own. And that's something that, you know, if it does happen, that I will be thankful for because they say the average is 3.5 years being in the league. And sometimes it's all about timing and it's all about opportunities and being able to capitalize when your name is called. And so just the fact that I've gotten a chance to see how far I could take this game and how better that I could be at receiver and where's my growth and where's my potential, like it's fun for me to be able to see that because I know some people don't get those opportunities to see that because we understand that when you're in a business, things are going to be moved in a business manner.
Tim Booth.
Tyler, I think if I remember the timing right, you tested or you practiced on a Wednesday and then tested positive the next day. When did you first start to feel something was going on? And then how long into having the symptoms did you start to kind of turn a corner and start to feel better?
Yeah, I mean, my chest was hurting a little bit. Like I felt like I had a little cold on Wednesday, but I was negative on Wednesday. And, you know, I figured that it was raining here so much in Seattle. We flew to Houston and then it was hot. Then the next day we played and it was a little cold in Houston because they opened up the roof. And then we came back and it was really cold and really raining. So I just figured like maybe it's just because the weather's been changing and all that different stuff. And granted, I don't wear the right clothes during the weather. But Then Wednesday night, I had the chills. And that's when I kind of felt like I had it. And then, like I said, my throat was hurting, my chest was hurting. And then that's when they told me that I tested positive. And I probably didn't start actually feeling like myself probably until maybe towards the end of Tuesday, beginning of like Wednesday and Thursday. But I got like this little IV, the monoclonal thing. I had got that on Wednesday, and that's really when I started feeling great. And then Thursday I tested negative.
John Boyle.
Yeah, Tyler, does going through this experience kind of change the way you look at COVID in the league right now? I feel like for so many people we're focused on, is this guy available? Like, who's playing this week? And, there's a real side of it of guys getting sick and trying to come back from an illness. Did that change your perception on that?
I mean, it makes you frustrated as an individual, because when you've dealt with the symptoms of COVID and you've seen how it was on you, it's like we really don't know how it's going to affect other people. And so, like, for me, yeah, it sucked seeing people say, is Tyler going to play? Is Tyler going to play? Need him to help my fantasy. Well, it's like, I'm just trying to make it through this. Like, people forget. Like, people just see COVID as just whatever until you actually get it, or you go through it, or other people in your family go through it, and you see how detrimental it is, and you see how people do die from this stuff. And, like, that's why I said, for me, it's unfortunate that I couldn't play, but I'm also thankful that I was able to still, I'm able to still be here and still enjoy my life and, all that different type of stuff too. But I mean, I feel like people should get vaccinated. I mean, people should get tested a lot more than usual. Like, the way that I got it, I was like, man, this is unfortunate. And you just don't know what people are dealing with, because we think that COVID is something that like is very extreme when it comes to symptoms, and we don't realize that it could just be a headache, and it could be a runny nose, and it could be a slight scratch in your throat, or your chest hurts, because we think that it has to be something so devastating. And that's not how the symptoms always are early on. And so, like I said, I thought I just had a little slight cold, and it turns out that I had COVID. And so when you're not getting tested, imagine how many people are just thinking that their symptoms is just, runny nose ain't COVID. Like, I get a runny nose all the time in the winter, and now you're just passing it along. And so, I don't know, man. Everybody got their own thing, but for me, I just felt like with the new rule, if I had 5 days to be able to play, it would have been a long shot, because I still was dealing with stuff.
And then one other topic, I don't know if you saw Bobby's press conference yesterday, but he opened it talking about mental health. I know that's a topic you've talked about a lot in the past and taken really seriously. When did you kind of feel comfortable talking about that and making that something you want to be public about?
I don't think you ever feel comfortable talking about it. I just think you finally come to a place where you realize that the only person who should care about what you're talking about and care about your growth is yourself. Because at the end of the day, like, you're all you really have. Like, we want to say that we have our family and our friends, but at the end of the day, like, all it takes is one decision for them to be gone and for them not to be a part of your life. And all of us have our own journey. All of us have things that we experience and that we have to go through, and nobody really wants to know the real work that goes behind what you have to do and be to become this individual that people see on the outside. And so, like, in life, everybody cares about perception. Oh, he looks good. He looks like a great player. He is a great player. I like how he does this. I like how my kid loves him. He's an inspiration. But you don't see the work that you have to do behind closed doors. Like, you don't see them days where, if you relate it to football, you don't see the drop passes at practice. You don't see the bad routes. You don't see the times you get locked up. And when you relate that to life, you don't see the mistakes that you made. You don't see the things that would make people laugh at you or judge you or look at you sideways or say that you shouldn't be in this position because of who you are as a person. And so that's just what I've learned in general, is that in this sport of football, you get so caught up in your worth being what people say about you and your stats and people saying good job, and you don't really realize that it haunts you at the end of your career, because now you're looking for people to tell you good job and slap you on the butt or on the head or whatever and say, hey man, like, I love what you're doing. You got to be able to be your best fan. Like, you got to be able to be the person that want to see yourself win. Like, you have to be that person that's okay with the ugly work that you have to be able to do, because your partner may not even like what you got to go through. But at the end of the day, it's your life and it's your journey, and you have to figure out how do you be the best version that you could be. And if other people want to be a part of that growth and journey, then cool. But you also got to be okay if they don't want to be neither.
Bob.
Yeah, Tyler. I did just one more on the COVID that you went through. I mean, on Sunday when you played, was it any different, or did you notice any different, or did you feel totally normal? Or
I was tired. I mean, like I said, I was tired. Like, I basically had another bye week, and I was at home laying down because I couldn't really do much else. Like, I just laid down, watched TV, and played the game. Like, that's all you could really do, because like anything that had to do with getting up and moving around, you just didn't want to do it. And times where you did feel good, you didn't want to do too much and then start feeling bad again. And so, I mean, you know, when I came back, I ran hard on Thursday, I ran hard on Friday, then I just had to get ready to play on Sunday. But, you know, I had to catch my breath and all that type of stuff. But to me, if you're going to play, then you're going to play. There's no excuses if you play.
Michael Sean.
Hey, Tyler, do you think the way you guys performed on offense against Indianapolis is kind of the peak or the best version that the offense has looked this year?
I don't really know if I can highlight like where the peak is. I just think that there's been a lot of different peaks based off of what we wanted to see in certain games. We just haven't gotten to see it all come together in every like situation. So when we talked about third downs, we haven't been good on third downs, but then when you finally seen us and what we can do as an offense, you started to see like, well, dang, if they get third downs, then we could really see the peak of the offense. But if they don't get third downs, then people are going to have questions and concerns and all that different type of stuff. And so I think for us, we've seen the peaks in a lot of these different weeks when we've been able to stay on the field. Like, you know, you see it in drives. Even when I was at home watching the Rams game, you seen it in the drive in the beginning of the third quarter, what we can do and what it looks like when we're able to stay on the field. But the hard part is if we're not able to stay on the field, then it's hard to be able to get things going, because you got to figure out what can we do to get things rolling. You know, so that's why it's kind of hard to answer your question, because it's like I related to basketball. If you got your best player out there on the court and he in foul trouble, I mean, you can't expect him. He got to figure out how to get going, you know, when he go back in the game. But then if he in foul trouble again and go back and sit down, I mean, it's kind of like that. You got to be able to learn how to stay on the field, and that's when you see how good we really are.
One more. Just generally speaking, if someone was to ask you, hey, Tyler, why didn't the 2021 Seahawks make the playoffs? You know, what would your response be?
I would just say that, you know, there were a lot of unfortunate things that didn't go our way in the games. But at the same time, like, I would just say we've been in a lot of situations the last couple of years where we could have probably had the same record that we have now. It just so happened that we figured out how to win those games on last-second drives or on drives where we won because the defense stopped them. And so we ended up being 10-6 when every game was decided between 3 and 7 points. And so it's kind of similar to this year. Everything's kind of been determined between 3 and 7 points. And if we would have figured out how to come out with those games, we wouldn't be in this situation. People would be saying, wow, the Seahawks are 11-6 right now. You know, so I would just say it just comes down with some things not going our way the way that it did go our way in the previous years. But you got to learn from that, so that way you don't have to be in those situations of like trying to win at the end, or trying to make sure that, you know, defense doesn't have to win it at the end. We can be able to collectively come together to be able to jump on teams earlier to where we control the outcome later on.
Thanks. I'm glad to hear you feeling better too.
Appreciate it.
All right, last question, Brady.
Tyler, welcome back. First of all, just a couple of follow-up questions on your experience with COVID. Do you know if you had tested positive for the Omicron variant, and had you gotten your booster before that?
I don't know what I tested positive for. I just know it was COVID. But no, I did not get the booster. I was gonna get it, but I had to go to an event, and I didn't want to deal with symptoms after getting the shot, because I don't know if I was going to deal with symptoms or not. So we were going to schedule a time for me to get the booster, and then I ended up getting it like probably a week and a half later, like getting COVID.
I see. And how are you doing in terms of like putting the weight back on that you lost?
I just haven't looked at it anymore. I just tried to say, all right, let's try to eat as much as we can. But, I mean, that's all you can do.
It's a good tip for the holidays. Just don't look at the scale. Thank you.
Right.
All right, thanks, Tyler.
All right,
Thanks,
see
everyone.
y'all later.
All right, that's it, guys. We'll have Shane after practice.